Hi everyone, Michelle Wedertz here with you to share my take on this week's sketch challenge that is going on over in the member forum on Facebook. I really sort of procrastinated to put this project together because I was waiting for my October kits to get here. So I finally received them and I was so excited to get to work with them. And you can see the beautiful papers, a lot of them coming from Paige Evans' newest collection, Whimsical from Pink Paisley. So it was definitely worth the wait. I didn't mind that I had to kind of bust a move when it came down to working on this layout. So when I go ahead and pick out my pattern papers, I usually have my photo nearby. That way I can kind of look and see how the picture looks with the pattern papers. I'm not exactly looking for something to be super matchy-matchy, but I would like it to complement it. And my biggest advice to you when it comes to picking your pattern papers or your colors is really just to go with what you like and what you feel looks best. There's really no wrong way when it comes to creating our layouts, and it's basically if you love it, then go with it, and that's what I did. Now the way that the sketch is laid out is there are two strips of text at the top of the layout. And I'm not going to go ahead and do my journaling in those little two strips. Instead, I found this super cool piece of pattern paper in the kit that has these lines of tags with fun words on them. And so I'm going to go ahead and use those and replace that in that particular part of the sketch, but it still works just the same, and I'm happy to find a good use for that fun pattern paper. Now I'm fiddling around a little bit here because I feel like my layout is kind of at this point just floating on top of my cardstock because it's not going off the edge. It's close to the edge but not quite. And in the sketch they had kind of a border on the top and the bottom, and so I think I want to use this paper strip that I cut off to put on top and kind of anchor everything and hold everything down so it looks like it's attached to the top. However, I am not liking the color that it is bringing to the layout because it's a beautiful piece of pattern paper, don't get me wrong, but it's entirely too much blue. And so you can see that as I am gluing my pattern papers down, I'm going to go ahead and put that piece of paper strip on top of there, but I'm going to end up taking off because it completely changes the balance of my layout, and I'm going to go with something else. Now you can see I'm using a liquid glue, which is, I've been using it for years and years, and I love it. And the reason why I use it is because it doesn't dry quite right away, so I have a little bit of leeway and I can move my elements and my paper around a little bit to kind of get it just situated the way I want. So I went ahead, and since I've got the foundation of my layout done, which is very close to the sketch, I'm going to go ahead and pull over my tray of embellishments and other goodies from the kits. And you'll see pieces here from all the kits except for the color kit and of course the paper add-on kits. Those are somewhere else. So what I'm looking for here is, since I went ahead and used a 3x4 photo as opposed to the 4x6 or horizontal photo that the sketch suggests you use, I am going to find something else to fill that space. And because I filled the journaling space with pattern paper, I am thinking that I want something that I can type my journaling on and set that side by side next to my photo, and that will go ahead and handle or fill in that spot on the sketch. As you can see, I am flipping through the journaling cards, which are so incredibly lovely, and in my mind at this point I'm getting kind of sidetracked because I'm thinking about fall now. But you know, I ended up finding a journaling card that I thought would be fun to layer underneath my photo here and type my journaling on it in a minute. But before I can even get to that point, I know I'm going to want to embellish and layer things over that journaling card. So
I'm not going to type my journaling yet. Instead, I'm going to find some extra pieces and kind of get an idea of where I want everything to go in case I need to adjust where I journal in that little circular spot. So you can see here I got my lovely old typing typewriter out here, and I'm going to type my journaling on it. And what I've done is, after I had those embellishments laid out, I went ahead and lightly, using a pencil, I gave myself some marks so I would know where I should type. So that's what you can see here, is I am erasing it gently. And just a word of the wise, if you're erasing on these journaling cards, if you're erasing where the color is, it'll kind of lightly remove the ink. So just be careful and try not to write on those spots, because a little bit of the color will lift, which doesn't bother me because it looks just fine anyways, and you can hardly tell. But just in case you're going to go and erase with a vigor, it's probably not a good idea. So for my title, instead of placing it on the bottom left-hand corner of my photo, I'm going to go ahead and move it to the top and layer it on that top corner where I have those word strips laid down. And when I am fiddling around with my title, I like to cut it. That way I can see exactly where I want it to lay. That way when I'm sticking if I were not to do that and I was just sticking my title on the pattern paper, I might just rip the paper and mess up things. So I like to go ahead and cut it out, and if I can, and go with it that way. That way I can move it around and see exactly where I want to layer it. So this week at the Hip Kit Club, we're working with the theme. It's an all about me theme. And obviously you can see that is not me on my layout. That is my littlest daughter. But I really didn't have anything too terribly interesting to tell about myself this week. So I went ahead and made this an all about Alora layout. And I'm going to emphasize that by spelling out her name using these super fun tiny alphas that are included in the Project Life Kit. This set of alphas is amazing, and there's a whole nother backside of tiny little alphas in a kind of a gold-ish color, so they're going to be versatile, and I'm going to use them a lot. So the final step now is just to address the embellishing of my layout. This is one of those parts I always look forward to, and I'm glad, I have to save it till the end because it's the best part, in my opinion. So I am going to go ahead and pull out some things here. I am looking at a cardstock sticker, and I'm going to go ahead and staple it prior to sticking on it, because had I done that, if I'd stuck it on without stapling it, my tiny attacher is not going to reach that particular place on my layout. So I am pretty happy that I remembered to do that before I adhered it down to my page. So I pulled out this fun pack of die cut flowers, also from the Whimsical collection, and I am gonna use this to soften all the straight edges I have on my layout, because everything's a nice straight line, minus my title, of course, and I felt like I needed to soften those edges up a bit, and these flowers are perfect for that. I'm going to go ahead and use a pop dot to get that goldish colored flower to stick up over my elements that I already have laid down there. And I'm going to fiddle with possibly adding some leaves, because this package of floral embellishments also includes some leaves that you can layer underneath. But I'm just not digging the amount of color that it brings to the layout, because it kind of starts shifting my balance, and all of a sudden there's like too much green, and I don't like that. So I'm going to end up cutting this idea and just going with layering the flower only, as opposed to using the leaves with that. Now that I've got all my bigger embellishments, I'm going to go ahead and finish off with the small stuff. And if you can see how I've got two main embellishment clusters, and it's kind of done with a purpose, because if I look at the title, I've got that big embellishment that catches your eye, and then you follow a straight line all the way down to that corner, And there's my journaling and my photos. So that's like a diagonal line in my page, and it's helping draw your eye from the top all the way down to the bottom so you catch all the goodies. The title, the photo, the journaling. Just a little trick if you ever find yourself not knowing exactly where you want to lay your embellishments down. You can just pick a shape. This one's a sketch followed a linear line. Sometimes you can do a triangle and have embellishment clusters going off in 3 different points that make the shape of a triangle. You can also do something like a circle and layer in a circle to move your eye around your layout. So that's also another option. So my final steps here, I'm looking for some stars, and I'm going to go ahead and use some stars both from the collection of puffy shapes as well as some from the cardstock stickers. That way I have variety and texture and nothing looks too much the same. Now my layout is pretty much complete, minus some stitching that I'm going to go ahead and do off camera with my sewing machine. Now I want to invite you guys over to our member forum over on Facebook, and you can, if you stop on by, you can see what the rest of the team has done with this week's theme and today's sketch. Thanks for having me.